Ah, the French champagne.
If you're not familiar, I mean, 1984 is also obviously a classic book that many people have read. I read it for the first time like last year. Actually, I'd never read it.
Oh, I still have not read it. And
that's very surprising.
I know. I kind of, because I came to the realization that, I guess fascism bad at a very young age, so I just never felt the urge to like delve into the reasons why, and I feel like my viewing of the movie might be affected because I didn't read the book.
What radical thinking, Sean.
I know.
You're
I'm
so
very
out there.
brave.
Yeah, very, very progressive of you. Fascism bad.
I read Animal Farm a couple of years ago.
Hey. Yeah.
and what are your beliefs on the inevitable class structuring of society, no matter what we do?
Bad.
Progressive. Radical.
Thank you.
So you don't like Bolshevism? Okay.
Bad Bolshevism. Bad. Chiwetel and Ejiofor.
Nailed it. Daniel Benoit.
I know, I'm Daniel Benoit. So let's jump into it. So round one, we're also mixing up the order of our categories. Watch out, exciting new content. So round one, we're going to start with story good. Story good. Begin.
Is the story good? Begin with 1984. Is the story good? Yes, it is good. I'll tell you why it's good.
Oh,
all right. Go.
From someone who hasn't read the book, I don't know, but okay.
Someone who hasn't read this book. Actually, you know what? I think my main note on story was that I couldn't follow the movie very well because I didn't really know what the terms were they were using.
Yeah. I had that thought.
Yeah.
Do they
when I was watching it, I was like, if I hadn't read it, I don't think I would get most of this.
Yeah.
Well, do they explain what a lot of the terminology is in the book?
Yes.
Like Ingsoc and Amtel or Memrec or whatever it was.
Yes, I don't know. There's they talk about how Newspeak works, right? Newspeak is what they call it,
Newspeak,
right?
yeah.
Which is how they're trying to distill the English language. They do talk about it in the movie, about how they're trying to make decrease the vocabulary, to limit people's thoughts, and they do that by also doing weird conjunctions of words. So they use a word to describe how they talk about how there are women who are taking a vow of celibacy and they're giving up sex and all that, and they call artificial insemination. I think they call it artsem.
Yeah.
They just take words and they strip them down and make them as small and as utilitarian as possible.
Right.
But yeah, it's so little is explained in this movie in exchange for just tons of I guess what I would call atmosphere. Which means people not talking and just standing around as stuff is happening and you look at the world, which I kind of appreciate.
Yeah, I do too.
But I don't know if it's not good storytelling. It's just it is.
Kind of
Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying.
It's good world building, but I don't think it's good storytelling. I mean, my main thought with this movie was that it is a movie that should have stayed as a book for the exact reasons we're talking about.
Right.
It doesn't translate into a very exciting narrative, despite how interesting the subject matter is.
Well, yeah, I was writing down right off the top because we get all the exposition about the kind of world we're dropped into from the announcements and the propaganda that is bombarded at them through the TVs and through the loudspeakers. And I do know that is part of the universe that is written into the book.
Yeah.
But it is also a tired cliche of feature-length films to have all the exposition just crammed into the beginning through news announcements and auditory cues that are coming in. Mm-hmm. So I wrote down all this announcement exposition is really cliche, but when I was thinking about that, I was more, I think, criticizing the limits of a feature film to do justice to something that is so layered and so nuanced.
Yeah, well, it's one of those funny things where, weirdly enough, this week, 1984 was an hour 40 or something. When really
it was close to 2 hours.
Was it closer to 2 hours?
It was, an hour 50.
It but like, you know, a little bit under 2 hours. And like really 1984 needs to be like a just under 3 hours movie. Like that's what you would need to like take the time to create this book on film. And for some reason 2012 was like a substantially over 2.5 hours. Like they should have been reversed in their amount of time that they took to be movies.
Oh, I disagree. I think that we needed every second of screen time for 2012.
Dan,
Well, I think
I needed about 17 more explosions, actually.
the Citizen Game of the Week is